So here, for Asad, may I start with just a simple, I'd like to say first thing, this is the longest serving director of the Bombay Natural History Society, an organization that has actually written the book on conservation long before. And problem, Asad, I have a real problem. My constituency average age is 14 years. I've more or less given up on my generation, which I call the Buddha party. There's no use. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. But I have no right to force ecological grief on a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 18-year-old, for that matter, even on a 40-year-old. Because then you can't do anything. So right now, I think Asad is a very hugely well-traveled human being. I think I've been traveling to the far corners of this country, and I see most of our people living very, very sensible lives. The fact that plastic has intruded into their lives, the fact that dams have come and displaced them, that's another matter. But their lives are still simple. So I acknowledge with a great deal of humility that I'm a part of the problem. I can articulate solutions, I can identify problems. But at some point or the other, all things put aside, for all the travels that he has done or I have done or you've done, we have to acknowledge we are in trouble right now. Our house is on fire, and it is a tragedy that those people who run policy, those people who are very powerfully from either money and richness or influence, don't understand that the elasticity of time has vanished. If you take the Titanic, which is about to sink, it takes a long time for it to sink, So there are people in the stateroom down there who are basically arguing, why are you playing Swan Lake? I asked you to play XYZ. Why are you serving me cold champagne, warm champagne? I want cold champagne. Why are the drapes this? The ship is damn well sinking. But on the top, on the surface, on the deck rafts, I call them the life rafts because on the Titanic there were life rafts. Actually, there are forests, there are wetlands, there are grasslands, there are mangroves, there are rivers, there are rivulets. These are our life rafts. So, rich and poor, victim and victimizing, we are all, I think, we're forgetting how little time we have left. If your house is on fire and the fire brigade has been called, you don't say, wait, hold on, my toast is still in there, let me put some butter on it and go down. First you go down. So this is the situation we are in. It is dire. But here is how, Asad, I managed to walk the tightrope of sanctuary. When I say I, it's sanctuary. We walk the tightrope by telling children stories. People like me who've been championing Project Tiger, I've still got to earn your stripes on this. So from the 1970s and 80s, we need very desperately to get off that pedestal, because nobody in India or most other places is going to declare 4,000 square kilometer tiger reserves where nothing can be done. But the birds, the avians and bird watchers, they outnumber tiger watchers by at least 100 to 1, if not more. So he is the gatekeeper for the solutions of tomorrow, because everything that an elephant does, takes the seed from here and drops it there and mangoes come out, etc., etc. The birds are doing this non-stop. The crows are the municipal karamcharis in every city, and so on, and they can keep on going on. But Asad, I really would like for you to take this forward, yes, and then we can leave that too.
Thank you, Bittu, but certainly I would like to slightly change the sort of a subject. You have said all the problems, but I'll first start with the BNHS, and just a small introduction of 5 or 6 minutes. Yeah. BNHS was established, is more than 140 years old organization, and it was established in 1883 by hunters, actually, and naturalists at that time. And hunting was the main. If you see an animal, you have to shoot it. You don't have to take photograph, or you observe it, or you enjoy it. That was the situation. And BNHS was also part of that, in the sense that they used to collect it. And it was by the British and the Maharajas, and both were interested in hunting. So that was the scenario 140 years ago. And within 50 years of BNHS existence, from a hunters and naturalist organization and Maharaja's organization, it became a conservation organization. So the initial stages of conservation was started by Bombay Natural History Society. Correct. I'm talking 1933 or 34, something like that, at that time also. So that was a small history, and then after that, now it is one of the leading conservation organizations of the country, and I'm very proud that I have been associated with it for almost 50 years now. First as a member, a student member, and then staff and senior staff, and then later director, and even now. So that is the organization. When I am now, I'll be in July, I'll be 75 years old. So I'm older than most of you in this hall.
Not me.
Yes, he's so he's just 2 years, but he looks younger than me. So when I was growing up, hunting was a part of the job. All my uncles, as soon as in winter will come, they'll bring out their guns, and of course I never hunted. But fortunately, India took a very great decision. Even after in 1946 or 47, when we came, within 5 years, we established the National Board of Wildlife. And at that time, India was in very, very bad situation, but people were still interested in wildlife. So India has done really great work from the beginning of starting of, or when we became independent. So we have lost lot of things, lot of habitats, but we have not lost any major species. Of course, many minor species must have been lost. Despite the fact that Bittu, my friend, has really shown what is happening at present, India has still done very good work as far as conservation is concerned. Project Tiger is one of the largest and the most successful projects of the world, not only in India, of the world. And we have established nearly 900 protected areas. Many of them are not very well protected. They should be better protected, but at least they are there. And except for few protected areas which have been denotified based on the political decisions, and sometimes they were not properly established also, I would say. We have not denotified many of them. They have deteriorated, but still they are there. So everything is not lost. We lost 2 species of birds before India became independent. The pink-headed duck and the what was the other one? A mountain quail. And both, mountain quail was always a rare bird. So it was not that it was possibly going extinct on its own itself. Without a human being, it would have become extinct. May not be in 100 years ago, but probably later. But pink-headed duck, we exterminated it because it was very widely. But not other birds have become extinct. And actually, there used to be 4 birds which were supposed to be extinct, and two have been rediscovered. Forest owlet is doing very well in the sense now it has been from critically endangered. It has become an endangered species because we found many places. And another thing is that earlier there were only few old Maharajas and BNHS and Salim Ali and those in 70s and 80s, 60s and 70s. They were meant not. I remember Mr. Daniel saying that it was very difficult to find a researcher, wildlife researcher. And now there are so many hundreds, many dozen universities have MSc courses. So we have, I mean, it's not that everything is lost, and we can still do much better, and we have done it. In the case of some species like the pygmy hog, I'll give you few successful stories before we come to the dreadful part of the situation. We have a few successful stories like the pygmy hog. Pygmy hog was considered as extinct in 1975 when it was rediscovered, and now before by conservation breeding, pygmy hog is found in Assam. In the Assam, not floodplains, but the higher grasslands of the Assam, particularly Manas and like that. And now the pygmy hog is so well in the sense of bred, in the sense of conservation breeding has been done and done by Indians. It's not that, of course, we got some information from the foreigners, but it was all done by my colleague Gautam Narayan, who was in BNHS, that it has been reintroduced in Orang, and now there are 150 pygmy hogs in Orang Wildlife Sanctuary, which is 80 square kilometer, 82 square kilometer. It has been reintroduced in Manas and in many places, and then it will be reintroduced in few more places. So that was a successful story. Now we are doing conservation breeding of the great Indian bustard, which became unfortunately very, very low numbers. But we are also surprised by the success of the breeding. Actually, we were expecting that it will take many more years and like that, and possibly we'll have a lot of failures. But unfortunately, we don't have any. At present, there are 47 great Indian bustards in captivity, and probably 100 bustards in the wild, and 47 probably in another 5 or 6. We were thinking it will take 20 years for us to reintroduce the bird, but possibly it will take less than 10 years to reintroduce the bird. So this is also a success story, and in the sense that, of course, we have to protect its habitat, is not. But at least as far as conservation breeding is concerned, we have been quite successful. Same thing with the vultures. So there are some good success stories, and in the when I was growing up, if you see a tiger, you shoot it. What else will you do? That was the thing. These days also, we see a tiger, we shoot it by the long lens, and there are hundreds of you. So this is the change which I have seen it from my childhood or young age to the now age. So this is a very positive thing. People now go for tiger or animal sighting, and now it is actually over. Some of the parks are overburdened by the tourists. So we have to develop more parks or open more areas for the tourism and like that. So these are successful stories. Having said this, we also have a huge problem as far as birds are concerned, as far as plant, taxa are concerned. We have nearly 200 species of birds which are in the IUCN Red List, and so we have to take care of that, like that. And the studies done by the citizen science now, huge. Ashish is sitting here. Actually, he and others started the citizen science of India, and based on the data that many common birds are not common. We all say, this species is very common. Actually, we write common, but if you start going there and if you're analyzing the data, you find that, okay, there used to be 20 black drongos in this area. Now there are 2. So the overall situation is not very good, but it is our duty to change the situation, and to reverse the situation. From 2 to, we have to bring back 20 black black drongo or whatever. I'm just giving example. So we have to, as Bittu said, that we have to work with every strata of the society. I will say that conservation starts from the top to bottom and bottom to top. It was both ways flow. If district magistrate is interested in, district magistrate is my bap of a district, and I know many district magistrates. I have also mentioned some of them in my book. They have done wonderful work, I would say, as a district magistrate, not as a conservator. And they have done more work as a more than the conservationists, because they have the power. If so, we have to make them interested in the like I have got in Uttar Pradesh, we have got Sanjay Kumar. Wherever he goes, the first thing is that he either improves the sanctuaries or establishes new sanctuaries or protected areas or whatever. He said, whatever is in my hand, I'll do for conservation. And see, forest department they are the custodians of our wildlife, but they don't have as much power as the district magistrate has. Because district magistrate is also have the power of the revenue or the land. Forest department does not. So we have to work with the district magistrates, change it. So what I said is the decision makers, and we also have to work with the school children like Bittu and many other organizations. So we have to see that, and when I started work or when I was doing BSc, there was no course of wildlife. There was no course. Literally, I read ecology by the example of pronghorn antelope and the grizzly bear and those. There was no book on Indian wildlife. Eh, but now there are courses, MSc courses and research being done by Indians. And this is positive development. And the second, one more thing is that not many countries, neighboring, if you see neighboring countries, not many countries have institutes like Wildlife Institute of India, which is also doing, of course, is a part of the government, or the NGOs like we have it, ETRI, BNHS, WWF, so many, and in almost in every, particularly in South India, almost in every city we have got a conservation NGOs. They are doing their own ways in the limited area, but still they are doing some work. So these are positive things, but certainly we can discuss it regarding the climate change and whether regarding the climate change, as far as birds are concerned, climate change is going to really impact the birds, most of the species negatively, but at the same time some species will benefit also. So we have to see that part also. Some species can adapt to the changes, and they are doing it. And it has been found recently in the research papers that sometimes the species, we think that evolution takes thousands of years or hundreds of years, but we are finding that sometimes they adapt within 2 or 3 generations, and they change. So the climate change is also and climate change is particularly going to impact the migratory birds much more than the resident birds. As far as I can be wrong. It has to be. This is another topic which needs better research. Because the migratory birds, when we look, particularly the long distance birds, have got a very delicate energy balance. Energy balance means that if a 10 gram or 15 gram birds have to fly 5,000 kilometers, so it has to accumulate some fat, but it can't become too fat, otherwise it will not be able to fly. So it has to have and they know that they have to fly, say, 5,000 kilometers or 6,000 kilometers, whatever distance, X distance. But because of the climate change, now those distances are increasing. So if they have the energy balance of to fly 3,000 kilometers, now if they have to fly 3,500 kilometers, where is the fuel for the? So these small things are taking place. And secondly, when the birds come, when they are in their wintering quarters, they eat and accumulate fat, and they can accumulate fat only when the habitat is suitable. If the habitat has deteriorated, then they will not be able to accumulate enough fat for them to fly whatever distance they are flying. So they may not die here. We all feel, oh, goody, 10,000 birds, 5,000 ducks, but how many are able to reach the destination to the breeding areas? So these are issues which are not India connected, because they are also international issues, and these are issues which not one organization can study it properly. And even if we study it, what to do? That is a question. So the most important question is to maintain their habitats. If the habitat is improved, then possibly the birds will also, and the species will also be in good condition. Thank you with these comments.
Wonderful. So here we are right now. I have my generation sitting here, over here. मैं कभी ये सोचता हूँ कि जब हम लोग पैदा हुए थे और 1947 I was born. I was actually kissed by Lady Mountbatten once. I was 1 day old in Simla, and I'm that old, So the point is that what are our children going to thank us for? I had Rajendra Prasad, I had Nehru, I had Gandhi, मैं नाम लेते the whole time can go. हम लोगों को कैसे याद करेंगे? ब्रिटिश लोगों को अगर हमने धकेल दिया यहाँ से 1947 में, तो उनकी कॉलोनाइजेशन टूल्स तो हमारे हाथ में अभी भी है. तो अगर वो कॉलोनाइजेशन टूल्स हमारे हाथ में है और हमने अपनी अगली पीढ़ी को कॉलोनाइजेशन कर दिया, तो वो क्या याद करेंगे? हम भी कहते हैं ना कि वो ड्वायर ने ये किया, उसने ये किया, उसने द वेपन ऑफ मैस डिस्ट्रक्शन नाउ इज कार्बन. द मोर कार्बन वी पुट अप. तो मैं कहानी बताता हूँ, तो बच्चों को मैं कहानी बताता हूँ कि भाई कभी अगर छत पे भी सो गए कहीं, तो माँ अपने एक छोटी सी चादर ली रात को, लेकिन सुबह 4 बजे 4:30 बजे माँ आके जरा सा या तो कंबल डाल देगी या तो कुछ, क्योंकि गर्मियों में भी ऐसा होता है. लेकिन अगर मैं 6 कंबल डाल दूंगा तो तुम्हारे पसीने छूट जाएंगे. तो ऐसे कुदरत ने चादर दी थी हमें, इतनी अच्छी चादर दी थी. द यूवी रेडिएशन कैन कम इन वेरी फास्ट, बट इंफ्रारेड निकलने को जरा मुश्किल होती है. दैट इज कॉल्ड अ ग्रीन हाउस. दैट. तो अभी हमारे बच्चे क्या करेंगे? उनका उनका पानी छीन लिया, उनकी धरती छीन ली, वो उपजाऊ नहीं है उतनी जैसी होती थी. उसमें जैसे यू टेक हेरोइन ड्रग, लेते जाओ लेते जाओ लेते जाओ, कभी ना कभी तो मरेगा आदमी. सो द सॉइल ऑल्सो इट रिक्वायर्स टू बी लुक्ड आफ्टर. बट I do not want this to be taken as a message. I am a doctor. I don't want to say, अरे डोंट वरी कैंसर नहीं है, वो जरा क्लेरोसिल लगा दो, फुंसी ठीक हो जाएगी. अरे टेस्ट ले लो, अगर देखते हो तो ये करो, वो करो, ये करो. But the good thing is that our body, just like the rest of the world, is self-repairing. We don't have to repair. We just have to stop doing the damage. That is all, and that's why Ashish's avians and Asad's avians are the ones, even while somebody is cutting a forest down, the birds are coming, it's shitting with it, one seed is there, then after 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, one root will come, something will happen. Everything can be fixed. लेकिन ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि मेरे लिवर को, मतलब कि आई हैव गॉट सिरोसिस ऑफ द लिवर, तो मैं कहता हूं मैं सिंगल मॉल्ट जिंदगी में कभी नहीं पीऊंगा, मैं सिर्फ रम पीऊंगा. तो असलियत ये है कि दिस इज व्हाट वी आर डूइंग राइट नाउ. दिस इज व्हाट वी आर डूइंग. हम जंगल को काट देंगे, उसके ऊपर हम लोग ट्रॉपिकल पाइन लगा देंगे, उसके ऊपर हम लोग ये कर देंगे, उसके ऊपर हम लोग यूकेलिप्टस डाल देंगे, वॉटल डाल देंगे, गांडा बाबुल जो है वो डाल देंगे. So we have to be obedient children. We are very inexperienced, and I would like very much Asad to see if there are questions that you might have, doubts that you might have. When I do that in a chamber where ministers are sitting, तो पहले वो खुसफुस होती है कि गलत क्वेश्चन मत पूछो, वो उल्टा देगा, you know. But this is not a battle. We are on the same Titanic. Either side, this side, that side. And there is only one game in town right now. मौसम का बदलाव ऐसा है कि अगर बुखार चढ़ जाता है तो हमें बुखार को रिड्यूस करना है. अगर बुखार का कारण ये है तो हम लोग कोई ना कोई दवाई देते हैं कि ऐसा करो वैसा करो. तो राइट नाउ वी आर पोरिंग पेट्रोलियम ऑन आवर फायर. So let us find a solution. It might come from one of you, I don't know. Even if it's a glimmer, you can count on the fact that you will win, because you are on the side of the biosphere if you are on the side of the biosphere. So please.
Where are the vultures? I would like you to see whether we can do something about it, number one. Second question is, I mean, you may just take my concern or question and then you may reply here, or maybe it's going to be not the right forum. You can take it offline, I leave it to you. The second thing is, you are so much into wetlands and grasslands and all, Rahmani ji. So, the biggest wetland in these Telugu states is the Kolleru Westlands in Godavari districts. So sad. One point of time, it was Asia's biggest wetland, harboring, like you said, the migratory species from all over the world, perhaps more of Asia. I mean, if you have something to say on that, where in case you are involved, hopefully if government has consulted, they should. People like you have something to say. Maybe we can also, since we are here, we will take it forward, your suggestions and all. The last thing is, since the latest, so unfortunate that the world scenario, the Paris Agreement, on and off, कभी align करते हैं, US, I'm talking about specific with US alliance comes out. Again now, he says no climate change, kya hai, and they don't want to pay any heed to the Paris Agreement. You know what I'm talking about. So what is it that if I can't do anything, I'm sure you people with your experience, you can do something for us. Yeah, please.
Yes, but they are still found in very large numbers in the rural areas. And this question comes up to me very often, and they say that because they had disappeared because of the cell towers. And I did a study for MOEF, Ministry of Environment and Forest. They had asked us to do BNSA study, 2 years study, and we found there's no correlation between the presence of the cell towers and the disappearance of the sparrows. There's really no correlation. But there is direct correlation with the disappearance of the sparrows with the presence of these such type of buildings where there is no nesting site. This is direct. And this is a direct correlation between absence of the sparrows with the absence of the small soft-bodied insects from the urban and semi-urban areas. Because first is the nesting sites. New buildings do not have any nesting sites. Even if they are nesting sites, there is a almost 60 to 65% decline in the population of the insects all over the world. Not only in as far as the pesticides are concerned, the pesticides are now global. They are in the whole world, and they have killed millions of insects. And sort of in my olden days, in the sense, and I'm sure that some of you also must have the experience that there used to be gardens. Now the garden, and if you walk on the lawn, there will be always insects jumping in front of you. Now where are the insects? Even if you have a garden, the garden or the lawn is sterile. Literally, there is hardly any insect left. So that is these two reasons are the major reasons over there. And incidentally, cell towers, those areas where these things happen. So the people relate it with the cell tower. Actually, there is no correlation between them. So regarding the vultures, we all know that they have declined in the huge. They used to be in millions, nearly 40 millions at one time. But they declined in 90s when released diclofenac, and it has not met for the last since. And I attended a couple of meetings when Manmohan Singh ji was chairman and the prime minister, and he was the person when he was it was told to him very specifically with the scientific evidence. Then he said, and you know how he used to speak. I think diclofenac should be banned. And then, this is one statement, I would say, that has saved the vultures. This one statement of that. And we took up this issue, and it also came, because I'm sure many of you must have worked in the government. And you know how the government has to be convinced to take a step. And sometimes it takes 5 years. It took us 5 years to convince them that diclofenac is the problem. Then there is a process. Once the drug is released for public use or whatever use, then to take it back is also a long process. So it took us almost 3 years to get the circular, and then it took is a long story, and I have written that story in my book. It is a whole full chapter on the vulture decline on this book. So, but the government has taken decision on this. Now what we know is that okay. Well, when the diclofenac was being used, then we found that almost 10% of the carcasses of livestock had diclofenac. When it was banned, and it became to 6%, and after now it is 2%. So these are positive steps. It is not that the vultures will come back. And in the last 20 years or 30 years of this decline, there are many other factors which have also taken place, which should have reduced the population of the vultures without diclofenac itself, but not to that extent which the diclofenac. But diclofenac was a killer. See, habitat destruction is a slow process. That it will take some, but those factors are now become dominant factors. for the decline. So decline has been arrested, or vulture decline has been arrested, but it has not disappeared. So it is not upturned. Sometimes in some places they are there. They are just maintaining that small population, but we need to see that they come back and like that. Regarding Paris Agreement, you have to tell.
First of all these agreements that have been held, we've been watching them 20, COP 20, COP 28. So we have renamed them COP Out 28 now, you know. So there's no question. There was no desire at the beginning itself to do it. If we had the desire, then we have the ability. The issue now is that we are electing the wrong people. Not only, I'm not talking of India, I'm talking about look what's happened in America, look what's happened in Europe, look what's happened in England, look what's happened in France, look what happened in Brazil. So in some form or the other, maybe it's because most people don't understand, but I can tell you this very surely that all our lives, मैं आपसे पूछ रहा था कि what would my grandchildren be thinking of me or of us? I'm saying to you that history itself is normally written by the victor. But it is not the victor, it is the survivor who will do it. And who is the survivor? The survivor is now 11 years old, 12 years old. They will write and they will say, and honestly, some of the young people are already out looking to establish tribunals and gathering evidence. When the Second World War took place, at that point they had to go into records and get people to speak and this and that. Here you're seeing it before your eyes. Somebody wants to cut 700 square miles of a jungle. Somebody says, I will drill more and more oil out. So they will be recognized as criminally, they will be recognized as criminals by our children. Today we may not call them because we are polite, but our children will write the history and they will say they knew and they did not care. बड़ी बड़ी बिल्डिंगें बनाई, बड़े बड़े डैम्स बनाए, बड़े बड़े सड़कें बनाई, लेकिन पानी कहाँ गया? So the issue is this: at one level we have a problem, and many people are either like in cigarettes and in the case of pesticides, the first thing was denial. No, this is not dangerous. The American army used to send its soldiers down to have DDT baths so they don't get lice, you know. So then the cigarette industry, same thing happened. They said it's healthy for you to smoke. Then first it was denial, then it was delay, doubt, then it is delay. Now they are in the situation of delay, and that is what is happening with climate change. The Paris Agreement is just a means to delay. We will do this. So when the child gets up and asks, how old will you be in 2050? To ask a 70-year-old guy. So I would say to you that you young guys, please don't shout and fight all the time, because that way it's very easy for my generation. They play judo with you, you know, jiu-jitsu and judo. Arey, look at that girl, she's speaking so badly, doesn't know how to speak to grown-ups. We are not grown-ups. We are just big boys with big toys with small brains. So you better make sure that your voice is heard, but make it polite. Don't speak like I'm speaking now, because I have the right, yaar, who will tell me anything? Who can tell me? What will they tell me? I'm 78 years old. Who the hell cares what they tell me? But you have a vested interest in tomorrow. And the secret is not in how to solve climate change. The secret is in how to make a drunkard stop drinking. I want to get rich, then I want to get richer, then I want to get even more rich, then I'll go to Mars and I'll establish my flag. These are infantile things. And I had the luxury of knowing this in 1981, and I used to tell myself, I have 10 years to convince. You don't have 10 years, you have 2 years, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Get active. Not shouting and fighting. Call them out. You are only interested in making money out of that forest. You are not interested in giving me water for when I get to be 60 years old. So you must call them out, but call them out politely and back it with science. You have got such a wealth of science, and the internet is going to be your friend, because you will be able, whether it's AI or whether it's not AI, you will be able to have information on your hands. So please do that. And if there is another question, I can just tell you, please understand that the river is an infrastructure. A wetland is an infrastructure. A grassland is an infrastructure. The Himalayan snows are melting. The Sundarbans is getting saline. We are getting a situation in which we are getting 50 degrees heat where it used to be mainly 44 degrees in Rajasthan. We are getting floods in Bangalore and places like this where even the people in the tech cities had to be rescued by boats. If you don't recognize this now, then when do you want to recognize it? And don't be quiet, silent observers, because the person who is silent is as much a conspirator as the person who is actively doing this. So the power of words, please use them. Use your talent, use your credibility, use your age, sir. It's, yeah, please. Go on.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Bittu ji and Asad Rahmani ji. I don't know if you recognize me, but my name is Ashwin Naidu.
I know.
And I just wanted to share a story to answer your question of what मैं अपने next generation के लिए क्या छोड़ूंगा. We are the next generation over here. I'm half your age. I run a non-profit organization called fishcat.org. It was born out of the inspiration of what you guys have done. Ashish Pitti ji is here. Sanctuary, Nature Foundation is here. You guys published the original magazines, that inspired us as kids to get into the field of wildlife and conservation. So we read Pitta, we published papers on birds and animals that were new discoveries in these areas. I don't know if you know names, Srikar Rachakunda, Imran Siddiqui ji, who runs Hyderabad Tiger Conservation Society, Gauri Shankar, who's my pal from, he's also a TED fellow. So he started this project on king cobras and he runs Kalinga Center for Rainforest Ecology. I just wanted to highlight the importance of enterprise in solving this problem of climate change and protecting these endangered species, right? So as an enterprise, Sanctuary Asia was a huge resource for us. It was one of those things like a Bible that we used to go out and look at all these articles and be like, wow, there's this endangered species over here. We need to go do something about it, right? That's what led me pursue an education. I did my master's and PhD in wildlife conservation in the US. I'm a US citizen now, and I came back here to India because, I spend a lot of my time in South and Southeast Asia because there's so much wildlife here that is endangered and critically endangered that needs to be protected. So I run an organization that works to protect fishing cats. This is a fishing cat. How many of you have heard about a fishing cat? Okay, it's more endangered than, yeah. So so what I'm trying to say is like, when you say that, what will our next generation see? The thing that I see right now that is solving the problem is these micro enterprises that are working on animals and wildlife, like BSAP, the kind of thing of getting people outdoor into nature, getting people to see that, these are the animals that are of value. What we worked on is these animals are more valuable than gold in some places. So anyway, just as a comment, I just wanted to say thank you so much for inspiring the next generation. And I hope that, this will continue going forward. So I really appreciate you coming out here and talking your hearts out. And that's more important, that we inspire the next generation to create more such initiatives like Sanctuary Asia.
Beta, listen, I hear you from my heart. Asad has been working now for 30 years to protect a number of species. The vultures have come in recently, but understand who the vulture is. The vulture is somebody, if you lose the vulture, you're going to get the kind of disease spread in India that nobody has ever heard of. The vulture can eat things which if you ate, you would die, but the the digestive system passes it out almost as a completely safe, something that a cockroach or some bacteria will eat. So the vulture is a health infrastructure. And I can honestly tell you that at this particular point in time, there's a tri-junction that you all are living through, all of us are living through, but we are being dominated. Biodiversity, economics, and climate change. At this tri-junction, Climate change has come as a spoiler for both biodiversity and economics. And what is happening right now is that he is shouting, I might shout, I might talk, I might do this, but I'm not driving the bus. I'm a passenger. At the end of the day, I can only advise the bus, and the bus is getting a message from a satellite somewhere that, look, don't go left, go right. And I'm saying, look, there's a cliff on the right, don't go right. तू कौन होता है, तू तो पैसेंजर है, तू क्या करता है? So we need to be together, and you young people, you have the legitimacy. You have the legitimacy, you have the self-interest to demand, not just to request, but demand it with science backing you, and demand it collectively. If you go alone, you'll get flicked like this. But if you go together, and remember that just, I would focus on the 18-year-olds. They are going to vote. They can change the votes tomorrow. I'm not talking about India. I am talking about America. I'm talking about all these places. You just have to understand what is it that is going to allow you to live and live well and be happy. And don't be like me right now. I used to be called Bitter Sahgal for a long time. Then I recovered from that for a long time ago. 8 or 10 years ago I recovered. And now people are asking me, Arey, yaar, there's so much going wrong. How come you be smiling and all that, and what is going on over here? So I said, bhai, abhi sach sabko pata hai. Please.
One thing that we tend to forget is that India is becoming urban, and all this urban population we cannot ignore. I think early when we first got independence, it was all rural. Now all those rural are living in the urban areas. We do need some lungs. We do need greenery. We do need rocks, birds, everything. So how do we go about it? Unless everyone in this room who's been working for something comes together, and I think we need strategies now. We need strategists who can say how we can make an impact. Because as somebody said, with land values so high, you're never going to get another park in the city. But we do need all these things in all the cities. And we do need leadership, some charismatic leaders. I'm told Jackie Kennedy saved Central Station. And so that seems like a huge success story. So we need to follow everyone who has ever been successful and see what suits us. So I was also inspired by you all, and I thought, what lessons do I have for my organization? Without coming together, there's nothing we can do, I think. Thank you.
Yes. You talk to them about hope, because the biosphere is going to win. It has never lost in its entire life. We are just another animal. And the biosphere will win, and if you're on the side of the biosphere, you will win. There will be pain. There's no life without pain, but we will win. I promise you, we will win. And we cannot tell children a lie, and I cannot tell you a lie either. We will win because we are on the side of the biosphere.
Yes.
And it is self-repairing.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
I'll end with this, that failure is not our option. We have to win. Thank you very much.